Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. I'm your host, Geoffrey Morrissey. We're backstage at the Orpheum Theater, joined by the wonderful Sunflower Bean. Thank you all so much for taking the time.
No, thank you. It's an honor to be here with Geoffrey Morrissey.
There we go, a nice change of pace. Well, if y'all could just introduce yourselves to our listeners, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm Jacob.
I'm Julia.
And I'm Nick.
And there we go. Now on to our first question about your record, 22 in Blue, one of my favorite releases so far this year. One of the things I love so much about the album is that there are so many different themes that sort of comprise it. Like, you can't say that the album is definitively about growing up or uncertainty or fear. With so many themes, was there ever a concern that it was going to be tough to keep track of? Because it really did come out cohesively, but I imagine that it must have been scary when you were dealing with so many different sort of lyrical subjects.
When you make a record, it really is kind of like a snapshot of the time it's being made. And I think we were all, we had just gotten off a year of touring in 2016, and we had a lot of personal changes. There was a lot of change going on in the country and in the world, and I think writing it and recording it in 2017 really sort of shaped the content of the record and had a massive influence on it, and all the different themes kind of converge into like one point of sort of like evaluation, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this earlier, how the best songs sometimes are ones that just say something so simple, just like a simple mantra or something that you can kind of just like scream out into the abyss. And I feel like there's a lot of that on this record, even though they may be, about different things. It's like there's something like cathartic about it that I think runs through the whole record. Yeah.
I agree. And to kind of wrap that point up, I feel like when you can't run from yourself, right? So I think one thing we've always been trying to do is search for the truth within ourselves in our songwriting. So if we're not afraid of that, then it sort of arrives, and you don't really have to worry so much about making it cohesive, because it's going to be as cohesive as your own humanity is, which is, completely chaotic and perfect in its own way.
I do want to take one of the things I heard sort of in that answer, sort of this idea of simplicity too, which is really kind of awesome. One of the best parts about sort of lyrics that are straightforward or that have mantras is there's enough room to breathe where people can sort of, read their own interpretations into them, and it feels like that was sort of a little bit intentional on this record too.
Yeah, I feel like, it's you can overthink so many things, and this idea of being simple, I think simple is almost like sounds like a really kind of bad word in the context of art. You know what? I feel like there's a lot of, and I don't think we would ever try to be simple. I think it comes into kind of like sincerity. I think if you are saying something really sincerely, it connects with people the most. And a lot of times if you try to write really with people in mind or with what you think people want, you misfire, and people are very intuitive with that. So I think when you are offering human feelings, perhaps in a shell that's simple, but at its heart is sincere, that's the one of the best ways to really communicate.
Very well said. Nice. Another sort of theme on this record, youth, was one that I picked up on. And part of youth is obviously growing up and no longer being young. So now that y'all sort of reached your 20s, when you think back, what is sort of one part of youth that you're happy to leave in the past?
Oh my God.
Julia's passing the mic to me. I think that, as you look back on yourself as you're getting older, you think about things and you really cringe, or like if you read Facebook updates from when you were in high school or from when you were even younger. And I think part of life is growing up and cringing less every time you think back on the last 2 years or so. And if that is a trend in your life, then you're probably growing and doing better.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot it's like, when I think back, it feels really chaotic. And it's still chaotic now, but in like a very different way. And it's funny how the chaos kind of shifts as you get older, because it definitely doesn't go away. Sometimes it might feel like it goes away, but then you realize, oh, this is still extreme chaos, but I'm just kind of living it differently, you know, and kind of like, I feel like I don't miss the constant turmoil that the chaos brought to me, you know. It's like, as you get older, I feel like it's just about managing the chaos and kind of using it to your advantage more.
Yeah, I mean, I have this saying within us that every year gets better, and I'm sure that there's going to be a literal physical point where that stops, probably, you know, when everything's sagging to the floor. But you know, when I remember also a distinct feeling when I turned 16 that I thought it was going to be like the best year of my life, and it was actually the absolute worst. And I felt like, I agree with Jacob, and I think it's because we have almost similar temperaments, that like I felt literally that my brain was like on fire. And my mom would be like, your brain isn't developed yet, you're not an adult. And I'm like, you know, screw you, Mom. But it's true, like your brain, you know, everything's expanding, you got hormones all the time. And I do not miss like the beginnings of existentialism.
Yes.
I don't miss it. I don't miss that. And
Glad that it happened.
Glad that it happened. And it's like Jacob said, reckon with it in a different way. And also, I think it's one of you know, it's nice to like learn how to work with people and not hurt them and not get so hurt, and know how to value relationships. That's one of my favorite things about growing up and being an adult is like consideration and communication.
Totally. And in your answers, it reminds me of something that I think Julian Baker, at least she was the first person that I heard say this. Things don't get better, we get better at handling things.
Yeah,
exactly. And to have that perspective is something to look back on it too.
Except taxes.
I
think
true.
I'm getting worse at. I understand them less and less the more I do them.
Yes, that true.
And I don't know how to be an adult really in that realm, but I have a very dedicated person to help with that, professional person.
There you go. And another part of being an adult, seek help when you need it.
Seek help. Just put someone else, pay people to do your taxes. Just don't even talk to me about it.
Well, exactly. And I sort of like that we touched upon some of the best parts about growing up. And then one of the things that I found sort of difficult coming into this period, and one of the things I think you touch on is, you know, part of growing up is also realizing that there aren't easy answers for everything, that you have to sort of live in uncertainties and live with truths that might be difficult to accept. So have there been uncertainties or truths that have been sort of more difficult to accept as you sort of were thinking about this record? Or?
Well, certainly there's an immense amount of cultural uncertainty in the United States. And one thing about 22 in Blue is I think that it was a distinct snapshot of being a 22-year-old person in the United States in 2016, 2017, and what the country was feeling. Not that we know or can represent what everyone in the country is feeling, but a very specific experience that I think we, once the record came out, realized that a lot of other people were going through. And I think, you know, people even ask us if 22 in Blue is like a protest record because of a song like Crisis Fest or something like that. And to that, I feel like we say, like, there's kind of like, can be so there. We're trying to show the shades of a being, you know, like you can protest and you can put a song that's like putting all of those feelings out there really directly, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a protest record, and it doesn't mean it's not. It's just a part of kind of being alive and trying to understand maybe your duties as a citizen, or what you care about as a person and how to like reflect that, and so I guess maybe I went off too much on a tangent, but I think the political uncertainty is one of the first things that came to mind when you said that, along with personal uncertainty about what about youth ending and all the things that one has to look forward to literally in their lives. It's just a new thing you look at in your early 20s, I think.
True. And then there's a nice anecdote to the uncertainty, and only for a moment, that sort of refrain, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, which, what a wonderful feeling. So when you all think about the space that you sort of belong in the most, what might that look like for you?
Ooh, like literally or?
It would be literal or metaphorical.
Place that you belong the most.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I think for a certain extent, a lot of people are always trying to figure that out. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of it right now with each other and navigating this, crazy musical journey.
Yeah, I agree with Nick. I think in a more literal sense, because I usually hear that line when we're playing on stage, that and no matter, like, it feels right, so I got that part down, the literal, aspect, but always trying to figure it out.
We were in the studio the other day working on a little project. This was like 2 days ago, and we were in New York, and we were at the studio all day for like 10 hours, and it was pretty intensive. And it was like I was on the train home, and I was like having all these feelings, and the way, this is gonna sound really silly, but the way that it felt like is like kind of like sick to my stomach, like when you think you might be sick. And I was like looking around, and the only thing that I thought that I could do was write a song. It was like I think I started writing at like 10 p.m. on the piano, trying to be really quiet, like not to annoy my neighbors. But when I did that, I felt like really happy that my job and my career is also the thing that I do to deal with my feelings, right? So it's weird. It's a weird, songwriting is a weird thing. Like, it's weird that you're looking around at life and then you have like a feeling, and the only like, I guess you have to sing it to some music. I couldn't tell you why, but I felt really happy that I could be really tired of doing music all day and still want to do more of it. And that made me feel like where I'm supposed to be is writing music and in the studio. And that was a nice thing to feel. I hope I get to do more of it. Touring is really fun too, but if the more time I feel like I could be there, then who knows, I might make some cool stuff.
Well, I think y'all are doing that right now.
Oh, thank you.
And you're about to do something really cool. You're about to go open for Interpol. So I'm going to wrap this up. Who are y'all listening to right now?
Eve's Tumor.
I was gonna say Eve's Tumor.
Well, his album just came out 2 days ago or so. So he's a great artist. He works with a friend of ours. He's great.
This person, Lawrence Rothman, really great stuff. Album, Book of Law, has really been making me really happy to listen to it the past couple of days, which I feel like is a good sign, because I'll kind of go through the ebb and flow of having something that I like to listen to. So, yeah, Lawrence Rothman, Book of Law.
Book of Law. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna say I Love It, or by Kanye West and Lil Pump.
There you go. Nice. Well, certainly a great new playlist that just formed. And when you're making,
it'll make sense.
It will. It's just because I've been in such a I've been in such a our music zone that you do get kind of musiced out, and it's hard to like get a fresh mind. So I feel like culturally that was a very important song in the past couple of days. Important for the exact moment we're in, and it's only 2 minutes, you know.
Everyone was kind of relieved because Kanye's been so dark and so like on one that it was like, oh, he smiled. Like Kanye smiled in 2018.
Yeah. You know, and I do love the video. I think I'd love more videos that I would just love more people that would be like just not afraid to just be like ridiculous.
Yeah. John Mayer, New Light.
Is that is it a good video?
Yes. I'll talk about that in a second, but I
Yes.
feel bad. I know you guys have to go to the stage.
Oh
so.
no, I just want to talk all day.
Me too. Well, the band is Sunflower Bean. You're going to want to listen to 22 in Blue all day. Go do it right now. Thank you all for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks.